College debt is one of those things that everybody has, or at least knows somebody that has it. And with many people facing unemployment right now, or at least having to take a pay cut, a lot of people are grateful to have forbearance periods right now for student loans, but that period is coming to a close pretty soon on September 30th. Now, regardless if you have student debt or not, this problem will affect you one way or another. Just an example, if somebody is unemployed right now but has a bunch of student loans, one of the things they're going to do to avoid missing those payments is they may take a job that normally would have paid $45,000 a year. They'd be willing to just do it at $40,000 a year just because they don't want to, miss that opportunity. So that average starting salary for that job, and maybe even that whole entire industry, begins to get lower and lower as more and more people become desperate to find a job just to avoid missing payments. And sure, maybe mid and upper level jobs won't get impacted as much, but from an economic perspective, it will matter to everybody in the form of decreased consumer spending. Think about a student or a person with student loans having to pay a larger and larger portion of their income towards student loans. That leaves less money for things like, consumer goods like clothes or TVs, the exception being getting the latest phone and spending $1,000, because who can be seen with a 2-year-old phone? So if these people are spending less money towards clothes and TVs, then businesses that revolve around that will start to generate less and less revenue, meaning less and less jobs. And with over 44 million Americans with some form of college debt, the issue has to be addressed. Currently, right now, as of 2020, the total student loan debt for the U.S. sits around $1.5 trillion, which is more than any other form of debt excluding homes. So that's more than credit card debt or auto loans, and you think about how both of those are very relevant in people's lives. So then you think about the minimum payments on these loans, and then you tack on interest on these loans. That's a lot of money being spent, whereas it could have been spent elsewhere for example, 401ks or investments, or, paying a down payment on a home. There's a lot of lost opportunity because of the cost of these student loans. Now, luckily, most of these loans aren't accruing interest right now until that September 30th period, but that period is coming pretty soon, so it's kind of creating this debt cliff, so to speak. Now, I don't necessarily anticipate some kind of dramatic shift or collapse like the way mortgage debt was to the 2008 financial crisis. What I more see happening is that there's kind of this lost opportunity that builds up more and more, and it begins to accumulate for these bigger problems. For example, if people aren't investing in their 401k, then that's less money towards their retirement. Or just that example I gave about people willing to take a pay cut just so that they can get a job and, be able to pay these student loans. Less income means less payroll taxes and less money for Social Security, so that creates a problem down the road. And what I kind of also anticipate happening is that, they'll just continue to be these Band-Aid policies that are kind of slapped on when there begins to become a problem, but there's never going to be a permanent fix to the problem. Because why fix something permanently? Because that's the American way. I'm joking with that because, to be honest, it is a pretty complex problem, and I really honestly don't know if there's a perfect solution. Now, let me tell you a quick story about a previous coworker I used to have. This coworker used to share about how when he was in college, he used to change his major so many times that instead of completing a degree in the typical 4 years, it actually took him close to 8 years, and instead of graduating with a small amount of debt, he actually graduated with, get this, $100,000 in student loans. And he would say it almost as if he was bragging, but I truly think he didn't understand the magnitude of the amount of debt he had. Here's the thing, these student loans are given to just about anybody, regardless of degree, regardless of how long it takes them to complete that degree, and regardless if they're getting the best value. For example, going to an out-of-state college that's way more expensive, but that has the same academic level as an in-state college. I don't necessarily blame students going into college because, most 18-year-olds cannot grasp the level of magnitude that $40,000 in debt is and how long that takes to pay off, as well as the fact that this debt follows you regardless if you declare bankruptcy. And then if you miss one of these payments, it can severely impact your credit score. And on top of that, many people are constantly told that you'll get way more income in the long run with a college degree versus someone without a college degree. And there is evidence to support this. Just take a look at this chart from the Federal Reserve that shows on average those with a degree and older than 25 make $13,000 a week versus someone without at $750 per week. Now here's the thing with that stat. While I do agree with it to an extent, it does need to be noted that it is in total of everybody. So, you're skewing that $1,300 per week with the people that are making six figures or the people that got degrees in specific fields that are typically higher paying, like engineering, for example. And so it doesn't really give you a clear picture on whether or not you should get a degree or not for a specific field and a specific case. So really what a lot more people should do is find the average salary for the person in that specific degree. Don't apply to a grand scale. You need to find that specific degree for a specific area and find that average salary and compare that to the average salary of someone in that specific area without any degree. Just take someone who wants to major in social work and lives in West Virginia or Missouri or Oklahoma. On average, you could expect to make around $38,000. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting that every decision be made based on money. I'm actually going to demand that it is. But seriously, maybe if somebody was considering 2 different degrees and they were kind of on the fence between 2, and they looked at the average salary of one and recognized that, this average salary of the other degree pays way more and they're just as interested in both, it might sway them to that more lucrative degree. So I think if you're someone who's considering going to college, or maybe you know somebody who is, it's a good idea to at least familiarize yourselves or push someone else to familiarize themselves with the average salary for that degree and the amount of debt that they might have to accrue to get that degree, and try to put in perspective how long it usually takes to pay off that debt. Maybe it takes 10 years to pay off that debt, and maybe you can explain to them that you could reduce that 10 years by 2 to 3 years if they just went to a college that was $2,000 cheaper per year or per semester. But obviously do so in a way that at least acknowledges that people have their own interests and values, because I think there is a group of people out there that are all just about the numbers and, just go out there for the degree that pays the most, regardless if you hate your job or not, because, that can get pretty demoralizing and that can be the wrong move for a lot of people. So that's it for this video. We'll see how long it takes to get to that $20 trillion debt mark, because it's all about breaking records. It has nothing to do with solving problems. But seriously, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I definitely would appreciate it a lot. And if you want to stay tuned to more personal finance videos or financial news videos, I post one of those about every other day, so please hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for more.